Well, actually, we don't regard 2011 as a particularly strong year. Rather, we regard it as a stable year. In 2011, the series production grew from about 1.2 million engine equivalents to something more than 1.5, as we said in our 8 December press release. So that's a 25% growth. In contrast, we grew by 50% in 2010 and by 100% in 2008. The difference in 2011 is that we didn't have any major programs coming on stream, so the growth was entirely from ramp-up and from market recovery. As the total volume increases and as the denominator gets bigger, it will be more difficult to keep that percent growth. But in terms of absolute growth, absolute volumes of engine equivalents, yes, I think we can sustain that. The first two installations at Daedong in Korea and at Pure Power, the Navistar foundry in North America, were made early in 2011. So the production volume for those two installations already shows up in the 3Q and 4Q results, and that will continue to ramp up. Beyond that, we had new installations at Tohokoki in Japan, at the Daishin foundry in Korea, and at the Mid-City foundry in the United States. And all three of those installations are for the industrial power sector. So we see that that gives us an opportunity for the industrial power sector to continue to ramp up as the main car and truck volumes grow. The final installation at FAW in China is a real foot in door. FAW is the largest automotive producer in China, and it's the most respected. And where FAW goes, the other companies tend to follow. During 2011, 4 of the 6 new installations were mini-systems. As an example, Tohokoki in Japan, although it's a mini-system, will be used eventually for high-volume production. They don't make many castings per day, but because these marine castings are so large, there's a lot of tonnage and therefore a lot of engine equivalents. And as we said in our Tohokoki press release, there's every opportunity for them to exceed 100,000 equivalents per year. And this satisfies everyone's definition of high volume. Today, 13 of our 30 installations in the field are mini-systems, and 4 of those are actually used for series production. So we shouldn't regard that a mini-system is only a research and development application, but also an opportunity for production, and under development circumstances, it's again foot in door, such as the 2 installations that we have with FAW in China. Historically, our production has been allocated to V-type diesel engines for passenger cars and to cylinder blocks and heads for trucks. And today this accounts for about 85% of our production. We absolutely see that there's continued growth in that area, but beyond that, there's opportunities for inline diesel engines and for petrol engines. And we're supporting product development for those programs both in Europe and in North America. In 1999, when the first CGI engine started production, and again in 2003 when we had the start of high-volume series production, when one OEM did it, others followed. And our fond hope is that if we can get production references for inline diesels, or especially for petrol engines, that others will again follow and open up that market. Yeah, from our perspective, we don't see the markets as uncertain at all. We hear a lot about it in the news, but for the passenger car market, that's very much an issue of small vehicles in south of Europe. The US market is very strong. It finished last year at about 12.5 million, and it's forecast to grow to 14 million this year, so approximately a 10% growth. All of the foundries in North and South America are at capacity, and the general forecasts are for 3 to 5% growth over the next 5 years. And likewise, China is growing. Here in Europe, we're not affected by the economic crisis as yet. As I said earlier, it's very much a thing of the south of Europe for small cars. In the north of Europe, with luxury vehicles, such as the V-diesels that we supply to the market, the volume is actually increasing. We're at record volumes for the Ford V6 engine, which is used in Land Rover and Jaguar products, and we're also at record volume on our Audi Volkswagen production.